and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Common Lunacy. It's lovely to see you here again. I am today going to share with you a bit about a trip that I'm planning to go on with my family, which I think is going to be really exciting. And when I've told people about it, a few of them have said they would like to hear more and would like me to record some videos. So today is an introduction to what we're going to be doing, just to let you know all about it, and I hope that as we're travelling around I may have an opportunity to make some videos so I can actually share some of what we do with you. So the trip that we're going on is a Harry Potter tour of the UK, and we decided to do this because our children are big Harry Potter fans. I think that our younger child is I think he may have just started his fourth reading of the series, and I'm pretty sure the older one's already surpassed that. So we thought this would be a great experience for all of us, and something that everyone in our family can really kind of get involved in and feel engaged with. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about where we're going to go on our tour and about how we've planned this, and particularly thinking about travelling during the coronavirus pandemic, because that's not something we were thinking about when we originally planned the trip, but it's going to be a feature of it now. So yeah, our route I'm going to show you on my computer screen. What we did, we basically, our older son and I did some research into where are the really key locations for Harry Potter around the UK, and a lot of those locations are places where the films were recorded. And so if I can just bring up that window, here we are. So this is the map of our route around the UK. We live in London, so we're going to start here, and when we start the trip we're going to go to King's Cross Station, which is where Harry and his friends get the train, the Hogwarts Express, to go to Hogwarts. And of course they get the train from platform 9 3/4, which doesn't really exist, but we can go and see where it was actually filmed. And I believe there's a recreation of platform 9 3/4 that you can go to as well at King's Cross Station. So we're going to go there first, and from there we're going to go along the road to Euston Station, from where we can catch an overnight train to Fort William. So we're going to go all the way up here to Fort William in the Scottish Highlands. Fort William is where they actually filmed the Hogwarts Express, and we are going to have the opportunity to go on the Jacobite Railway, which was actually used as the Hogwarts Express, and it does this iconic trip over the Glenfinnan Viaduct. So we're going to be able to go on that train, and we've booked ourselves afternoon tea on the train, and I think it's going to be an amazing experience. There's amazing scenery there in the Scottish Highlands. I hope we're also going to have the chance to visit Glencoe, which is where they built Hagrid's hut for the films, and again, beautiful scenery there, and I hope we might be able to have a walk there. So we're staying in Fort William for 3 nights, and then we're going to get the train down to Edinburgh here. Edinburgh isn't featured in the films, but it's actually where J.K. Rowling wrote the books. So I think that will be a chance to learn a bit about where she got her inspiration from the Harry Potter books, and we're going to do a Harry Potter tour around Edinburgh and see some of the places where she wrote the books, and also some of the places that might have inspired some of the names and scenes in the books. We're staying there for 2 nights, and then we're going to go and visit Alnwick. Alnwick is where there's a famous castle, Alnwick Castle, and also there's a beautiful garden there, I understand. So I've never been there before, but Alnwick Castle is where they filmed some of the scenes in Hogwarts. Particularly, I understand they filmed the first scene where Harry learns to ride a broomstick. That was in Alnwick Castle. So hopefully that's going to be a really interesting day trip. We're not staying in Alnwick, we're going straight on to stay in Durham. And in Durham we're going to be able to go and see Durham Cathedral, which again is one of the historic buildings in the UK which was used to film scenes in Hogwarts, and in particular McGonagall's classroom is filmed in Durham Cathedral. From Durham we're going on to Whitby, which is actually by the sea in Yorkshire, and That's going to be a nice part of our trip because we're going to enjoy being by the sea. But the reason we chose Whitby is because it's really near to Goathland, another village. I have to say, I don't know how you pronounce Goathland. I'm not sure if I'm getting that right, but I will be able to tell you that once we've been there and heard how the locals say it. And Goathland is where they filmed Hogsmeade Station. So it's got a historic station there, and I'm hoping we might be able to catch the train from Goathland Station. We're staying in Whitby 3 nights, and then we're coming down here to York. Now, York is really there because it was a convenient stop between Whitby and Oxford. It felt like a bit of a long trip to go from Whitby to Oxford in the day. So we thought, where can we stop? What about York? York must have some connection to Harry Potter. And lo and behold, on Googling York and Harry Potter, we discovered that despite the fact that York doesn't really have any connection to Harry Potter, its historic shopping street, the Shambles, has been rebranded because it bears some likeness to Diagon Alley. So the Shambles is now full of Harry Potter shops. Perfect, we thought. So we're going to make a stop in York where I'm sure we'll have a great time purchasing some Harry Potter merchandise. And after York, we're then going to travel down to Oxford, which has a much more genuine claim to be a Harry Potter location because many of the Hogwarts scenes were filmed in Oxford buildings, including Christ Church College, New College, Duke Humphreys Library, the Bodleian Library and the Divinity School. So I hope we're going to find a way of visiting as many of those locations as we can in Oxford. And the other exciting thing about our visit to Oxford is that we're going to stay in a boat there, a boat on the canal. So we've never done that before, so I think that will be quite an exciting part of our trip too. And from Oxford, we're coming back home to London, and I think we'll be ready then to settle back into our ordinary life again. So that is our route and map of where we're going. We're going to be travelling the whole way around by train. That's something we're very comfortable with as a family. We've done quite a lot of trips by train. One of our children is not very keen on travelling by car, so it suits us quite well to go by train. We've booked all of our accommodation on either Airbnb or Booking.com. We're staying in apartments all the way around, so we'll have our own kitchen, we'll be able to cook for ourselves. We'll also have a washing machine, which is really important on a trip like this, because if you're travelling around on the train, you really don't want to be carrying much stuff. So by having a washing machine, we'll be able to do washing maybe every 3 days, something like that, so that we really don't need to carry very much with us as we travel around. When we planned this trip, we actually planned it in January, and it was me and my older son who did most of the planning of this. And at that time, we had no idea that this year was going to become defined by the coronavirus pandemic. So we pretty much booked it all before we really knew about the pandemic. And once we were in the peak of the coronavirus illness, we really started to think that we probably wouldn't be able to do it. I pretty much was assuming that we would have to find something else to do this summer or stay at home. But actually now we're through that initial peak, it feels as though this is going to be possible. I think we can do it. So obviously there's an element of uncertainty. You know, we can't be sure what local lockdowns might happen. The First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, has said she's not ruling out imposing quarantine on people travelling from England to Scotland. So we're hoping that that's not going to be the case. So yeah, there is more uncertainty than there would have been. But at the moment, it seems as though it's going to be possible to do this trip. Just because something's possible doesn't mean, of course, that it's the right thing to do. And that does seem to be quite a complicated question at the moment. Is it okay to do this? I honestly don't really know the answer. We, on the one hand, are being encouraged to go out and eat and to be tourists because our tourism industry and hospitality industry need people to go out and make use of all the services that they offer. At the same time, you know, we're being discouraged from doing non-essential travel or mixing with more people than we need to. So it's a tricky decision, but you know, we had this all booked already, and I think we've decided for us this is the right thing to do for us to still go on this trip. It will be a bit different. We'll be wearing masks on the trains. We don't have to wear a mask in our own cabin on the overnight train, but apart from that, we are asked to wear masks on trains, in stations, and any public places that we go to, shops and things like that. We will be booking ahead more than we might have done, because a lot of the things, the trains and the attractions, will have more limited capacity than they would have done. So I'm trying to do as much research as I can before we go, and book things ahead where I can. We'll, generally speaking, be travelling off peak, so I think that helps, that we won't be travelling at the most busy times. Hopefully that makes it a more acceptable thing to do, what we're doing. So yeah, I think it's still going to work despite the pandemic, but I will let you know what happens, and whether it does, well, how we're affected by the restrictions that are in place at the moment in the UK. We're enjoying preparing for the trip at the moment. I'm rereading the Harry Potter books, so that I'll be able to compete with my children's knowledge, hopefully, of all the different places that we're going. And we're also watching the films as a family, because we're obviously needing to have a look and try and see where the places that we're going are actually featured in the film, so that it will be meaningful for us when we actually get there. Thank you for listening to my plan for our summer holiday. I hope you found it interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts, what travels you're planning to do this summer, and if you've been to any Harry Potter locations that you would encourage us to visit. Thank you for listening today, and I'll be sharing more about our trip with you in due course. Bye now.